So when you're watching this video, more than likely it's going to be All-Star Weekend, which means that I'm not going to be in town because I'm going to San Francisco for my first All-Star Weekend, bro. Yes, I know, it's crazy. It's amazing. But unfortunately, my first All-Star Weekend has to be during an era of basketball where NBA players don't take it serious. And they've actually taken it so unserious that the commissioner and a bunch of other decision makers had to change the whole format of what's going on at All-Star Weekend.
The NBA All-Star Game has a new format again. This time it's moving to a tournament-style competition featuring 4 teams. So there's going to be 3 teams of All-Stars with 8 players each, and then a 4th team made up of Rising Stars winners. So there will be 2 semifinal games up to 40 points, and then a championship game with each player on the winning team getting $125,000, and while the league hopes to energize its showcase event.
Bro, I ain't gonna lie. That's a bunch of complicated bony schlemoni for basically saying, y'all don't give a damn, so I'm trying my hardest to figure out what exactly is the solution. As a commissioner, I have to find a solution to something that really and truly shouldn't be a problem. And I'm not even Mr. like Negative Nancy. I'm not the one who makes videos constantly complaining about a bunch of things. But on this topic, bro, there's no one to complain to or put the blame on outside of the players who were on the floor playing in an exhibition game that we should be able to get the most out of in terms of fans. Because at this point, I don't even know what's more of a gamble. Believing that you're going to go to All-Star Weekend and have a good time, or winning big on today's sponsors, DraftKings Pick 6. Today's video is brought to you by DraftKings Pick 6. Now, the juicy part of the NBA season is here. No more NFL, trade deadline comes and gone, and the playoffs are right around the corner, so we really get into the thick of things. And I know for a fact I got a bunch of daily fantasy fans out there, and trust me when I say DraftKings has you covered with their Pick 6. All new customers who play $5 will get $50 back in Pick 6 credit, and the setup is very simple. All you have to do is download the app, create an account by using your information, use my promo code FOTL, and then from there, just select 2 players and determine if their stats are going to be over or under. For example, now that Luka is traded from the Mavericks, I'm pretty sure Kyrie's assist numbers might go up, so you probably want to go over on his assists. And then even in terms of his teammate in Anthony Davis, I'm pretty sure he's going to try to show the world who he really is now that the Lakers have gotten rid of him, so you might want to go over on his rebounds and his points as well. So if any of this sounds interesting, download the DraftKings Pick 6 app now and sign up with my code FOTL only on DraftKings Pick 6. The crown is yours. People tend to embellish about how fantastic and magnificent All-Star games tend to be, even in the past. Like, people, get caught up in some of the early 2000s, some of the ones in the 90s. But for the most part, a lot of these were more hit or miss than people tend to remember. Over the past, 4 to 5 years, All-Star game has been abysmal. It's been terrible. It's basically just been a bunch of people at the top of their game, some of the best of all time. And I'm someone who subscribes to the ideology that these are some of the most athletic, talented, and skilled players in NBA history. And yet, I don't see any of that being displayed when they're going up against each other. And they're just going out, jump shot shooting and chucking a bunch of threes, not giving any effort defensively. Like zero zilch nada. So it's a shame that we have to get to this point, but I do want to hear what some of the NBA players have to say about what's going on.
I don't really like it, but we'll see how it goes this year and see if they change that or not. They didn't go back to like East-West, but the 4 teams and multiple games and all that stuff. I don't think a lot of players are going to like that.
Hate it. Absolutely hate it. Really terrible. All-Star game, formats changing, all the formats terrible in my opinion. We should just go back to East-West, just play a game. I think we've been trying to, bring that flair back somehow with the All-Star weekend, but I think we just keep it traditional. But we'll see how this one works. You never know. I might be wrong.
I'm more into the nostalgia. I agree with Kev. I like East versus West, but with your own team jersey. I like the old jerseys.
Bro, you know what's so frustrating when I watch that, bro? It's true. Like, we all want the nostalgia back. We want it to be back to what it used to be, East versus West, because that's what it, in all honesty, should be. It had to be East or West. Just 2 teams of the top, in theory, 24 best players in the NBA going back and forth. And again, it doesn't have to be ultra competitive, but it just needs to be better than what it has been over the past couple of years. But it is very frustrating to hear NBA players complain about it. Like, oh man, I hate it. It needs to go back to that. But it's like, bro, the reason why we are here where we are right now is because of y'all. No disrespect to KD, but bro, you've been in the league throughout the the entire transition of where it was when you first got into the NBA to where it's at now. LeBron has been in the NBA from when it was in the mid to early late 2000s, all through the 2000s, to where it's at right now. Y'all were a part of the transition of it being entertaining to where we are today. You have to take some level of responsibility. I think I've seen clips where they have, but at the end of the day, bro, y'all sitting here complaining, but the truth of the matter is this shouldn't even be a problem in the first place. This is something that y'all have breeded amongst one another, and the thing that's very fearful is that as time progresses and the further we get away from what was going on before, like in the 2000s and the 90s, the harder it is to rekindle that type of feel of the game. And we just sit here and just make all these crazy things up, bro. The formatting in and of itself, to me, is just dumb. Like having 4 teams, 3 all-stars, another team fill the rising star winners is crazy to me. I get that you're trying to bring purpose around it, but it's dumb. And what's even crazier is that they're forcing the issue by doing this, putting a cap on the score so you can get a target so it can make things more interesting, because what if the game isn't close due to 3-point shooting that will really just start blowing things out? Then you have Barkley, Kenny, and Shaq picking teams, and I use that very loosely because if you go look at the teams, it's very clear how they were trying to build these rosters. Shaq's team that he picked, it's LeBron, Curry, AD, Tatum, KD, Dame, Harden, Jaylen Brown. On Kenny's team that he picked, it's Ant, Brunson, Triple J, J-Dub, Darius Garland, Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, Tyler Hero. I'm pretty sure you kind of get the gist here. And then on Chuck's team that he picked, it just so happened to be Jokic, Giannis, Shea, Victor Wembanyama, Pascal Siakam, Sengun, Karl Anthony Towns, and he had to just stumble across D-Mitch because Luka didn't make it. You see what they're doing there? The foreign players just so happen to be on one team. The younger stars just so happen to be on another team. And then Shaq has some of the OGs. So these are artificial teams. Even they are going out of their way to try to make some type of incitement about it because, of course, having 3 random teams and trying to build this together, there's nothing really connecting anybody to these teams. But this is what we have to do now. We have to artificially pump something into this to make it as entertaining as possible. What's crazy is that as I am going to All-Star Weekend, I've already bought my ticket to come back here in Atlanta on Sunday, on the day in which you're going to play the All-Star game. I'm going to be in San Francisco throughout the weekend, but deciding to leave early on Sunday because I don't even think this event is going to be that entertaining. It's so bad that I'm someone who's going to be there, and I'm not even interested in finishing the entire weekend there. That's how bad this is.
It needs 32 players.
And I'm still confused, by the way.
It needs 32 players to work, right? But there's only 24 All-Stars. So are they going to have more All-Stars? No. Even though there should be more All-Stars, they're not going to have more All-Stars because that's bad for business because then we have to get paid more. So they're going to have 8 rookie sophomores play in this setting? Like, what? I
ain't gonna lie, that's massively dumb. You're talking about the 24 best players in the NBA and you're gonna match them up against rookies and sophomores. You are now admitting that the game might actually be close just off of the sheer fact that the rookies and sophomores will play with a level of competitive edge in nature that will actually make the game closer. That's what you're effectively admitting. And on top of that, it is potentially a way to embarrass the All-Stars and have them play a little bit harder as well because they will look extremely dumb if they play so lackadaisical that they end up losing to rookies and sophomores.
Nobody should expect the players on All-Star Sunday to play as hard as they play during the regular season or the playoffs. I understand that. But you trying to tell me you can't play as hard as you play in the summertime when you're working out to get yourself in shape? You can't do that?
Shout out to Stephen A. Smith. That's actually a really, really good point. No one is expecting you to play regular season level. We're certainly not asking you to play playoff level. But, bro, like some of the stuff y'all doing, it's not even like workout level. It's not even scrimmage level. It's quite literally shoot around level. I might get a lot of pushback from this, especially as someone who has been anti what I'm about to say. But on one hand, I kind of actually believe that they just need to go back to like having the fans vote for this and just have the fans vote matter, if not all the way, but at least more than what it is right now. Personally, I believe fans are much more intelligent now than they were, 10 years ago when, crazy people were getting in barely playing games, et cetera, et cetera. But moreover, fans have the ability to know who's going to go out there and play hard. And so one of the players that isn't going to be playing this year is LaMelo Ball. LaMelo, who I believe is playing at an all-star level, to be fair, probably shouldn't be on the team. He's not playing as better as a bunch of other people who are ahead of him. And obviously his team is at the bottom of the standings. But I also kind of feel like, bro, if you're going to go out there and just be half-assed and you're not going to care, that means that you don't want to be there anyway. So why not just give it to somebody who actually wants to be there? And in my opinion, I don't even use like all-star selections as grading on how good a player may or may not be regardless, so I don't really care about that. Like, I shouldn't have to hear stories about ex-NBA players going into the locker room giving grown-ass men pep talks about how to give fans a show. This is another reason why like, there's a massive disconnect with NBA players, the executives and decision makers in the NBA and their fans, because it seems as if like it gets further and further and further apart. As a fan, it's tiring to have to pay more for League Pass but get less in return, pay for more subscription models to watch as many games as possible. Ticket prices are consistently going up. Players are playing less games. And then when it comes to the All-Star game, where y'all are getting 3 days of rest more than likely before we even get to the actual game itself, and then y'all are going to get another 3 days of rest after that, you're telling me we have to find all these other ways to incentivize you to play, what, 20 minutes of basketball? That's crazy to me. As a fan, where is my break? What am I gaining from any of this shit? Again, I'm paying more, receiving less on League Pass. I'm paying more for ticket prices. I'm paying more just to interact with what's going on. This is a huge reason why, for those who don't know, I'm on a platform called playback.tv/Lowe's Room, where I provide more value to the League Pass holders out there. So if you have League Pass, you can watch games with me live. But outside of platforms like that, there ain't really that many more places to get more value for your dollar. Every single All-Star game, we're getting to the point where, as a fan, I'm not even getting the level of intensity with this. Like, what are we doing right now? And then what's even crazier is I got to turn around and hear Jimmy Butler complain about not receiving $20 more million on a contract when we all know that he's probably not worth it. I mean, it gets pretty excessive. It gets pretty excessive. Can't even hold you.
LeBron James is directly responsible for ruining the slam dunk contest.
Whoa, are you serious?
Yes, he is.
Thank you.
We said, yes, he is. I'm not
you.
finished.
I'm
I'm not finished. Because when we're talking about the slam dunk contest from 1985 to 1997, 5 of the 13 slam dunk contests were won by future Hall of Famers Jordan twice, Dominique Wilkins twice, Kobe once. Michael Jordan participated in the contest 3 times. Dominique Wilkins 5 times. Every high jumper, every skywalker salivated for the opportunity to compete in the slam dunk contest. It stopped when LeBron James said, I'm not doing it. And from that point forward, the stars who followed didn't feel compelled to prioritize a slam dunk contest. The tradition that was set by others preceding LeBron James. We watched LeBron James, and then you know what he did, Shannon, to rub it in? He'd do it on the layup lines before games.
Oh, you ODing Bron without doing an all-star, slam dunk contest, but then like back in the day when Bron was first in Cleveland, the stuff he used to be doing pre-game at the layup line, throwing it off the rim, catching it between his legs, he would be doing things that he should be doing in a slam dunk contest. However, the idea that LeBron is the reason why the dunk contest is where it's at right now, because after LeBron, a bunch of like skywalkers, as he called it, or people who are high jumpers decided to stop going in, that is factually incorrect. There was actually more skywalkers and players who are lived above the rim that participated after LeBron entered the NBA than it was when Jordan got done with his stint. If you actually look through the 90s, there's not that many like all-star caliber players that are participating. I think Scottie Pippen did it once. Sean Kemp may have done it once or twice. And then there's this massive gap where there's no one really participating between like 93 to like 97, 98. And then finally like Kobe and Ray Allen did it towards the tail end of the 90s. Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway, Kevin Johnson, none of those players participated in the dunk contest at all throughout the 90s. So this idea that like, well, when Jordan did it, set the tone, and after that, like right after Jordan, it was done. But then if you go look at LeBron, bro, after LeBron entered the NBA, John Wall still did it, Paul George still did it, Blake Griffin, DeMar DeRozan, Dwight Howard did it a handful of times, Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordon, those two still did it, Giannis did it, Victor Oladipo did it, Damian Lillard did it. You just go through, on average, every single year, there's an all-star caliber player that has been in the slam dunk contest up until recently. But if you just go back, it's fairly common for there to still have been an all-star caliber player in the slam dunk contest post LeBron deciding not to do it. It took us until LeBron got 15 years into his career before we started to see a fall off in stars. But before that, bro, like almost every single star that you could think of that is a high flyer participated in the dunk contest. Outside of maybe like Russ, Rose, but Derrick Rose is a small amount of window that he could have done it in, maybe D-Wade? Like that's really it. But nobody doesn't say anything about why is it that Kevin Johnson didn't join it? He came right after Michael Jordan. Oh, Grant Hill, Penny Hardaway, they didn't join it, but they right after, but nobody don't say those things because they understand the context that may come along with it. And to be quite frank with you, everything kind of fell off. The reason why, in my opinion, the slam dunk contest is falling off, A, lack of imagination, because a lot of these dunks have already been done, but being more, and they've been seen across the internet as well, so it's really hard to just take people by surprise with dunks that they've already seen. But being more importantly, the skill set that is demanded in the NBA is more predicated off of your three-point shooting and ball handling. So those players that used to be in the NBA, that used to just be high flyers and really provided little to nothing else offensively, those players just don't exist. Like the Gerald Greens in the world unfortunately, they just don't exist as much. It's much harder. A lot of players, they just focus on other skill sets in their game. They don't really focus too much on just dunking the basketball. At least that's my theory. But this idea that when LeBron came in the league, he didn't do it, and that's when everything stopped. That's not true. Paul George, D. Mitch, Dwight Howard, several different times. Y'all see the list, bro. It happened. It is pretty bad, though. We should not have gotten to this point. We had to push fake teams and formulate rosters just to keep things interested and keep the drama there. You have to sit here and bring up new tournament formats and all that other stuff. We shouldn't have to do that for the All-Star Weekend. Slam dunk contest is a little bit different. People were saying that the slam dunk contest in the late 90s was garbage and terrible. You can very well argue that the worst dunk contest that ever existed was back in 97, 98, whichever one it was, when Kobe won the dunk contest, because that was also a very, very bad dunk contest. And all throughout that stretch of years leading up to when Vince Carter came in, it was terrible. The reason why Vince Carter winning the dunk contest was such a big deal is because it was perceived that VC saved the dunk contest. The dunk contest was terrible in the late 90s. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. And then after Vince Carter stopped doing the dunk contest, another way to save it, David Stern at the time trying to find new and different ways to make things interesting. So they used to come out there with like a wheel, like a dunk wheel, where you would spin the wheel and it would tell you what type of dunk you were supposed to do. I vividly remember this. So when people sit here and say like, oh my God, how terrible it is right now, bro, it was terrible back in the early 2000s. In terms of the All-Star game itself, bro, it has been just bad for a while. There is quite literally nothing that I'm ever going to say to try to save face for what it has turned out to be. It is a terrible product. And not only is it a terrible product, even like the jerseys for a while was terrible. This is actually the first time where the jerseys look something of substance. So everything was just aesthetically terrible about the All-Star game. So hopefully the new tournament style works. I understand the formatting of it. You put yourself in a tournament, give yourself a scoring goal to meet so things can be a bit more interesting and it's not too much so the gap can't be extended within a finite amount of time. I think it's another missed opportunity that they're having All-Star Weekend in the Bay, but Curry is not participating in a three-point contest. This would actually be the perfect year for Curry and Clay to go back and forth with one another at the three-point competition. There's another missed opportunity. I just feel like there's certain times where as a player, win, lose, or draw, you do it for the betterment of the league. Dominique Wilkins was going out there matching up with Michael Jordan, knowing that he was at a massive disadvantage, but he did it for the betterment of the league. Even though he lost, did it for the betterment of the league. So there's certain things you just do to put yourself in situations that where it makes sense. When Aaron Gordon was going out there and trying to slay Zach LaVine when he was going crazy, and even though he got robbed, in my opinion, one of those years, he still went out there for the betterment of the league. It provided a bunch of entertainment. But right now, unfortunately, Ja is constantly hurt. He's barely playing. Zion is still dealing with weight issues. So those are two players that you would love to see in a dunk contest. They're not available. Anthony Edwards, it seems like Ant just doesn't even care enough to do it, which is another massive problem. I don't think that's a LeBron thing. I just think that's an Anthony Edwards thing. I think Anthony Edwards just does not care. But hey, those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section below. I will be out there in San Fran on All-Star Weekend. So if you see me, you see me. Don't be afraid to approach. I actually don't mind taking pictures and doing a bunch of other stuff as well because I don't get out that often. So hopefully I get to see you out there. And until next time, I'll see you all later. Peace.